Hello, this is Heather Hoffman, and I'm here today to share a fun way to make this Snowglobe shaker card with you. We're going to be using the September 2019 kit of the month. I love that little cabin in the woods scene. We're also going to combine it with a little bit of Unity Stamp Company's new 6x6 pattern papers. This is from the Rustic Textiles pattern paper, and I just used a round stitched metal die to die cut a circle out of the center of that panel. As you can see, it's already trimmed down to the size of an A2 card. And I'm going to go ahead and use my MISTI to stamp that image so that it lines up in the center of my circle. And the way I'm going to do that is kind of line everything up and pick it up, and then take that pattern paper piece off. And then I'm going to use just a little bit of Post-it tape to mask the sides. As you notice, there was a little bit of a white border around the edges, and I don't want my image to fully extend and hit any of that. So this is going to allow me just to make sure that it keeps those edges nice and clean. Now I can pull off that Post-it tape and see how you have that fun image in the middle and it doesn't go over to the edges, and that circle fits perfectly over the top of it. So because we're going to make this a shaker card, I have a square of acetate, clear acetate. I buy this for making shaker cards. You can use scraps off of packaging. This particular piece was just barely big enough to cover my window, and I didn't want to, in fact, I was actually running low on it and didn't have any bigger pieces. So I used some thin, good, sturdy adhesive to run around the edges. And you notice I kind of bent it to fit around that circle, so I knew I had a nice tight seal around there to hold that acetate in place. And then I'm going to add some foam adhesive around. And it's really important when you're making a shaker to make sure that your foam edges, that the pocket where your shaker filling is going to go, that you have a nice tight seal all the way around. So make sure all your foam tape touches around the edges so you don't have any leaks for things to sneak out of there. Now I'm going to fill it with some Snowflake, Sequins, confetti, and then some coarse chunky glitter. This one's from Ariel. And when I got to this point, I realized a lot of times when I'm doing a shaker card, I'll put the filling on the base of the card so I can put this right over the top. But in hindsight, I realized I'd already put my filling in and I pulled off my tape from my foam. So I needed to add a second panel of acetate to the back. And to do that, my panel was just the same size as my other one. So I needed to get some of that foam adhesive a little closer to my circle so that that would actually seal and hold in place. And as you can see, it just barely extends over that foam adhesive. So that way I know I have a good seal and none of that's going to leak out. So then I needed to cover the edges of that acetate again with adhesive so it would adhere to my card base. And the great thing about using 2 layers of acetate is it helps everything in the shaker to move really well. So you can see how all the Snowglobe elements just shake around really nicely, which is kind of fun. I like the mix of the snowflake, the larger snowflakes, and then the glitter in there as well. It just kind of adds to the Snowglobe feel. All right, final touch on this card. I grabbed a sentiment from the kit. I'm going to stamp and heat emboss it on some black cardstock. I like to use white embossing powder, and especially the way this card is, that pattern paper being black and white and the image black and white. This is a great monochromatic design, and so adding that sentiment in black and white just kind of helps it pop and really pulls that color scheme together. So I trimmed it down to a thin strip and trimmed the edges off and just adhered that in place. And there you go, a fun little Snowglobe style shaker card with that fun little mountain scene from this stamp kit. Thanks so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day.